Hey guys. Well, of course, you know that I'd never be able to do this little show and tell using my Windows VM. So here I am recording my show and tell so that you guys can see it in a video, and then I can just sit back and watch it and not have to do anything. So I actually made a little bit of a slideshow. It's tiny, but it does the job. So I'm going to do a little show and tell on Gource. So what is Gource? Gource is a VCS commit visualizer. So that's a version control system commit visualizer. It works off of VCS log files, which are actually really simple. It's just a timestamp, a username, the action like add, delete, modify, and then the file name that's being acted on. And what Gource does is it creates an interactive video of your project activity. So you can actually see what you would normally just look at when you were looking at all the commits and the files that were being changed in, say a Bitbucket project, or CVS or SVN or any other. It can read the logs or log output in the right format for any VCS system. And then kind of the cool thing is that you can post-process your Gource video, and you can do things like add an annoying soundtrack, which I'm going to show you how to do. All right, so that's what we're going to do today. And right now I'm going to go over to where I put all my Logicalis projects, and we're going to first run a real quick little Gource video using the CP2 project portal, and I'll just show you some of the little interactive stuff you can do real fast here. So right now we're watching the video of all the files being created starting from scratch, the beginning of the project. We're looking at the master branch, and this is just Eric flying around at a pretty fast rate as far as the simulation speed goes. And the neat thing is, if you hover over him, you can see his name and some information if I can catch up to him. And then if you hover over project nodes, you can see the names of the files. I can hit a command called V. I can do Shift V, and it'll start to follow him more directly. So it zooms in on where he is, or it tries to follow him. And then here comes Matt coming in. I'm going to go back to a zoomed out view. So it'll just follow all the users that are flying around doing their thing. And to get their avatars, I just picked up their avatars from Bitbucket. It didn't take them in directly. I just actually pulled them in indirectly, and you tell Gource where the directory is, where the avatars are, and as long as those avatar names match the names that it sees being read off the CVS log, it'll use them when it shows who's doing commits. Now you can get really fancy with this thing, and if you know how to use the git log system better, you can do specific branches or time frames, and then when you do your Gource video, you'll see exactly what you want, like maybe from the start and end of a particular sprint. So you could do something like that if you were interested. I don't really know the right commands in git log to do that stuff, so I'm just kind of doing a from master from beginning to end. So I won't go very far with this, but this is just a good picture of what it does. And so this Gource video stuff, it just automatically takes all the files and it just starts randomly placing them. Well, it draws the tree randomly, I think, but obviously you can see the relationship between the nodes and the leaves and the branches. And it'll just go on, and it becomes real interesting if you have a lot of people working on a project, because you can see who's active, who's super active, who's just comes in once in a while, and it's kind of, I don't know, gratifying to see how much work that you do over time. So that's CP2 for a few moments, and then I'm actually going to run this again on the LMS. So let's see, I'm going to do, hold on a second, just cheat a little bit here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Gource again on LMS. So now I'll show you some of these options. User scale, you can tell it a path, so that's a directory path. The Git branch that we're going to work off of is master. Here's some of the information about it. Has a default avatar if you have a user that the app doesn't know about, or the username doesn't match. somebody who worked on it, at least they'll have an avatar. You tell it the directory where your avatars are, you tell it the title of your project, give it a logo. And now if you want to stream it to output, so you actually have a file to work on afterwards, you give it that file name. So I'm going to let this one run till it's finished. And there's me just pumping in the beginning project for LMS for the monitoring service app. And hopefully this won't go for too long. The output file that this thing creates is pretty darn huge. So like right now it's building lms.ppm. This thing's already 4 gigs. It'll probably be about 20 gigs when it's done. Here comes Travis coming in. He came in later after I kind of had the project stood up, and there were more things for him to do after that. So, you know, if you're a manager, you could run this thing and, you know, see who's busy and who's not real easily. Travis just deleted all my web stuff. Hey, why'd you do that? So that should be pretty much the end. And it'll just quit when it's done. When it gets to the end of the log file, it'll just quit. Alright, so that file's done, and it's not that big, 13 gig. I thought it was bigger. Okay, so let's go back here. And the next step is we're just going to turn this into an MP4. So I'm going to just grab this little bit of code right here, make sure I got the right names, LMS ppm, transfer it into an MP4. This actually takes some time, so once I get this recording done, I'll hopefully just be able to fly through it, and that way you won't have to sit here and wait. Oh, looks like it's already done. Okay, so now we got LMS MP4, we've got LMS ppm. Now if I do a little play of lms.mp4, it should look exactly like we just watched. And then I can like fast forward it and stuff like that. Anyway, okay, so the next step after that, you gotta take him out of here right now. I'm doing a video. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is add some noise, which should be fun. And you know, I don't want to use stylus. Let's do something else. I'll do Amazon. How about 50 cent? Let's do 50 cent. So we've got LMS MP4 as input, the music, the output is LMS audio. This actually shouldn't take very long. So now we've got a couple of files here, with the final one being lmsaudio.mp4. And that's my little sample of Gource. I said a bad word, so I'm glad I quit that. All right, that's it. That's my show and tell. Thanks, guys.